France under Didier Deschamps is favourites to win Euro 2024. With a squad brimming with talent including the world's best player, Kylian Mbappe, and a rock-solid defence, Deschamps has plenty of options to create a winning formula. However, the midfield selection remains a key area of focus, with debates about whether to stick with Adrien Rabiot and Aurelien Tchouameni, or potentially go ahead and bring back the experienced N'Golo Kante. Here's a detailed guide on how you can replicate Deschamps' tactics in FC24. Deschamps has frequently alternated between a 3-4-2-1 as well as a 4-3-3 system. Now essentially this system will somewhat take up the more natural 3-4-2-1 system and shape, along with the fact that the right back will look to tuck in certain moments and formulates that back three system. Of course, this 4-3-3 system will provide balance across the pitch. It will allow for France to be very lethal in attack, specifically down the left-hand side. You want to have a good combination play between the likes of Theo Hernandez as well as, of course, Kylian Mbappe. A final detail about the formation is the fact that it will look somewhat lopsided in certain moments, with the likes of Antoine Griezmann playing as a right attacking midfielder. He'll look to drift into the wider right channel and overload that side. This will in turn allow the likes of Kylian Mbappe to have a lot more space to work into and work with and effectively go ahead and exploit the opposition. The Frenchman's tactical approach on the defensive end should be set to balanced. This defensive style will help the team adapt to their opposition. France will mainly look to collapse the central zones with pressing traps. With this approach in play, they can either look to aggressively press higher up the field, or they can look to drop back into their more natural shape and make it very hard for the opposition to break them down. The defensive formation will transform into a 4-4-2, with the two front men lightly pressing the opposition's backline, looking for those potential errors and mistakes. The rest of the side, though, will remain in their defensive shape. Setting the team's width to 60 allows for a man-to-man defensive approach, looking to cover all areas of the field. This tactic can be very effective when pressing higher up the field, preventing the build-up play from the opposition. A mid-block is formulated with the team's depth being set to 60. This in turn will look to protect the French back line, looking to minimize the attacking threats in behind. Not only will this mid-block remain defensively solid, but it can also look to disrupt the opposition's builder play in those central zones, like I said earlier, looking to try and collapse that midfield and break up the opposition's build-up play. Onto the offensive system and style of play for France under Deschamps, and the build-up play will also be set to balanced. France under Didier Deschamps tend to mix their attacking style of play. This will always keep France very unpredictable for the opposition. They can choose to simply plat from the back like we have seen in countless games, so they can effectively do that, but at the same time, they have a lot of pace, they have a lot of athleticism in their front line, and you would still want to go ahead and use that. They are armed with the fantastic ball-playing abilities from their centre-backs, who can ping those diagonal switch balls into the wider flanks, which the likes of Mbappe as well as the likes of Dembele can look to effectively use and attack the wider space. This flexible approach allows the side to adapt to the opposition and find the best ways to break down their opponents. As for the chance creation, it should be set to direct passing. Now this will in turn get the best out of the likes of Kylian Mbappe as well as Ousmane Dembele, looking for them to penetrate the opposition's backline and have those potential passes fired into them, whether it's from the centre-backs in that long ball approach, or the likes of Antoine Griezmann getting in between the lines and dictating the play and trying to facilitate offensive movements for the wide attackers. You often see in games that there is a lot of movement in the French front line, so you would want them to be consistently moving and rotating in and out of the available spaces. The offensive width of 65 will facilitate a good shape for the side to go ahead and take. It allows the wingers to effectively go ahead and either hug the touchlines or effectively attack the half spaces. You will see a lot of interchange between the likes of Antoine Griezmann and of course Theo Hernandez with their respective wingers. This width allows for creative dynamic attacking plays to occur. The plays in the box is set to 6, allowing for the striker and several of the other attacking players to be in the box ready and waiting for the potential crosses, ensuring a strong presence in the box and increasing the likelihood of you transforming those crosses into goal scoring opportunities. And then finally, the corners and the free kicks should be set to 4. Starting off at the back with the individual play instructions, the goalkeeper in Mike Maignan will be set to having a balanced set of instructions. The goalkeeper will rely on his backline to cover the defensive threats. But in saying that, the likes of Mike Maignan will be very important in that first phase build-up, also being very calm and composed when under pressure and under the pressing stress of the opposition, looking to effectively play through that press and initiate that first phase build-up against the opposition. Both of your centre-backs will follow basic instructions. There's no need to change anything about them, but they will be tasked with potentially playing that switch diagonal ball into the wider areas, whether that's into the fullback or the wider attacking player. Essentially, the likes of Konate does tend to do this quite often in games, looking to stretch the play with that quick outlet ball into the forward line. But both of these players will be very important in the initial build-up play, looking to get on the ball and play those shorter passes into the midfield to try and establish an offensive rhythm. Now, essentially, the role of the right back will be very different to the left back. Now, I did mention earlier, you do tend to see a 3-4-2-1 system and shape formulate when playing a 4-3-3 with this French side, and that is because the likes of Jules Koundé doesn't tend to get forward that much. He will look to tuck inside and almost operate as a third centre-back, which is exactly what these instructions will set him up to do. Stay back while attacking as well as invert. The likes of Theo Hernandez will be the more attacking fullback of the two, and he'll be set to join the attack as well as maintain a mixed run type. Now, essentially, with the attacking patterns that I have noticed from Hernandez playing alongside the likes of Kylian Mbappe, they do tend to alternate their attacking routes. Sometimes the likes of Hernandez will be hugging the touchline, providing crosses from that wider space. Other times, the likes of Mbappe will do the same. So you do want to have Hernandez operating in that mixed run type role. The role of Rabiot and Tchouaméni in this system is vital to the success of this French side. They will look to contribute on both the offensive end as well as the defensive outlet, but more so, they are vital to the success of this defense. They will look to crash the midfield zones, breaking up the play as much as possible, disrupting the opponent's build-up play in those central areas. So you want them to be very physical, very demanding in those central zones. The likes of Rabiot will be set to maintaining a balanced attacking support, allowing him to play as that box-to-box player, getting nice and high up the field and looking to overload on the offensive end. At the same time, you would want him to stay on the edge of the box as well as have normal interceptions, and then finally cover the wing and stick to position. Now, I've said cover the wing because you do want Rabiot at least trying to fill in for the role of Mbappe down that left-hand side. The likes of Tchouaméni will have a bit more of a defensive outlet to his game plan, looking to stay back and pick up the ball off of the backline and look to circulate it further forward. So he will also be very important in the first phase build. Now, these instructions allow him to drop a bit deeper at times, so you do need to have him involved in that build-up play if you do choose to go a bit shorter with it. The support on crosses should also be set to stay on the edge of the box, so if he does venture further forward, he can look to rotate the ball and try and facilitate better offensive movements. The interceptions will be set to normal, and then you want him to cover the central zones as well as stick to position. Antoine Griezmann will be the chief creator of the side, more so deployed as that number 10, and specifically the right attacking midfielder. He will look to overload that wider right space, attacking the half spaces, interchanging positions at times with the likes of Dembele, and a little disclaimer, he does tend to drift into that wider left channel, combining with the likes of Theo Hernandez and Mbappe, but more so it will be down the right flank. You want him to be facilitating all the good offensive movements and help the side score as many goals as possible. So in order to replicate his role very effectively, he should be set to come back on defense. That is a key element to the success of this side. Having him not only drop deep and support the defense, but also drop deep and get on the ball a bit earlier in order to try and, generate a rhythm at a deeper rate and more or less put together a few passing patterns in those deeper areas of the field. The support on crosses should be set to maintaining a balanced run, allowing him to sometimes stay on the edge of the box, rotating the play, and other times breaking into the box himself and being on the end of those crosses or cutback opportunities. You want him to drift wide, more so in that wider right space, but like I said earlier, he does tend to do it on the other side as well, but it will mainly be down the right flank. The interception should be set to aggressive, as he will look to aggressively press the opposition's backline every now and then. For Dembele as that right winger, he will be set to having a basic defensive support. Sometimes he does choose to track back and help out on the defensive end, but he is mainly covered by the likes of Jules Koundé, who doesn't necessarily always get forward, as well as the likes of Antoine Griezmann, who can also choose to track back in certain moments. The transgression is set to maintaining a balanced width now. This will help him interchange with Griezmann, allowing him to sometimes attack the half space and Griezmann to hug the touchline, and vice versa situations to occur. The main thing is, though, you want the pace of Dembele and Mbappe on full display, looking to consistently penetrate the opposition's backline and exploit them as much as possible, which does tend to happen more times than not. And then finally, interception should be set to normal, and you want him maintaining a balanced crossing run. Now, the striker role does change depending on if you have Thuram or Giroud in the front line. Now, essentially, Giroud isn't really that mobile, so you do want him to maintain a balanced width, but he will mainly stay in those central zones. The key elements to the success of him is the fact that he is so physical. He can back into the opposition, he can win the aerial duels, he can link up the play and win the flick on efforts, and just make sure that he is playing those acute passes into the players in and around him. The interceptions should be set to normal, and then he will be an outlet ball going forward. Like I said, those long balls into the front line, he can look to hold them up and then lay it off to maybe an Antoine Griezmann or one of your wingers. Now, things tend to get a lot more interesting when the likes of Thuram does enter the team. Essentially, he and Mbappe interchange positions. You want the likes of Thuram operating in that wider left space and Mbappe sometimes coming more centrally and acting as the more natural centre forward. So in order to replicate that role, you want him to be able to drift wide, more so into that wider left space, as well as get him behind. Now, with the likes of Griezmann and Dembele's instruction set, because Griezmann will mainly occupy that wider right space, it more naturally forces Thuram into the wider left channel, which is quite nice, might I say. And of course, paired up with the instructions that Mbappe also has. It's quite nice. You add a lot more pace to the front line and you can score a whole lot of great combination counter-attacking goals. The interception should be set to normal, and then just like with the likes of Olivier Giroud, he will also be an outlet ball for the breaks. And last but not least, the role of Kylian Mbappe in the French side. He will have the freedom to attack as he pleases. And when I say the offensive freedom to attack, I mean he does not have to come back on defense. He does not have to contribute on the defensive end unless the team really needs it. But more so, he's allowed to stay further forward, stay in that wider left space, and operate and try and exploit those gaps in those spaces and effectively score a lot of goals in transition for your side. So he'll be set to stay forward as well as free roam. Now, when you watch Mbappe, whether it's for PSG or whether it's for France, he does tend to operate in that wider left channel and then drift centrally, get on the ball, vacate that space and go back out wide. And he will consistently interchange with either the likes of Thuram in that, main striker role, or the role of, Theo Hernandez inverting or overlapping at times. You want him to be able to get in behind. Of course, Mbappe's pace is scary, and you want to try and exploit the opposition as much as possible with that. And then finally, normal interceptions and get into the box. You want him consistently positioning himself in those goal-scoring opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net. And there you go, people. That is how I would implement and replicate France's Euro 2024 tactics into FC24. Please don't forget to smash the goddamn like button and, of course, subscribe too if you are new to the channel. It means a lot. It does a lot for the algorithm of YouTube and making sure that this channel can grow to the very best it possibly can. If you guys would like, we have a Discord server where we chat everything football from FC24 to real life things, obviously in football. If that is something that you would like, if that is something that you would enjoy participating in, I would welcome you with open arms to the Discord server. The link will be down below in the description. So go ahead, check that out. Just say hey on the Discord, and I'm sure everybody will greet you warmly and welcome you to the Brom Squad Gaming Discord family. Anyways, whilst you are clicking on the Discord and all that stuff, don't you mind ranking and rating this system for me? Because in my personal opinion, this is the best tactics that I have made so far for Euro 2024. I love the fluidity. I love the direct attacking play from the wingers. The likes of Antoine Griezmann operating all over the place, dictating the pace of play, facilitating the offensive movements. It works so well. And whilst you are, commenting all that good stuff, give me a prediction of who you think will win Euro 2024. That would be great. Anyways, until the next one, until the next time, which will be tomorrow, I hope you guys have a goddamn smashing day, and I'm out of here.